Okay, in this video, we're going to write the equations of parabolas. The standard equation of a parabola that has a center at HK is given here. If it's a vertical or an up and down parabola like number 1 down here, the equation is y equals 1 over 4p, to where p, again, is the distance from the vertex to the focus and the directrix, x minus h squared plus k, and this would move it right h, and this would move it up k if it was negative and positive. If it was positive, this would move it left. If this was negative, it would move it down. Next up, if it's a horizontal, it would be x equals 1 over 4p, y minus k squared plus h. And now again, backwards, since this is in parentheses, if this were with the y, if it were a negative, it moves it up. If it's a positive, it moves it down. It would go backwards. This h out here, now this is different. If it's a positive, it moves it right. If it's negative, it moves it left. It's only backwards if it's inside the parentheses with the x. Okay, so this will move it right or left exactly what it says it would. So first parabola. Since it's up and down, since it's a vertical parabola, your equation is going to be y equals 1 over 4p times x minus h squared plus k. And we could go ahead and actually look and see where this vertex is, and we could go ahead and replace our h and k's now. So the vertex is going to be at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 5. So we're not going to move it left or right any, so this stays x squared, but we do want to move it up 5, so we're going to have this plus 5 on the end. And the only other thing you have to do is figure out what the p value is. P is the distance from your vertex to your focus, which in this case is 2. So this 1 over 4p changes to 1 over 4 times 2, which would be simply 1 over 8. So there's the equation of your parabola. The next one, this is a horizontal one. Your center is 1, 2, 3, negative 2. So we do have to be careful with this. We're going to list the x stuff first, and then we'll have the 1 over 4p, 1 over, I'm going to we'll go ahead and put the 4p, that'll be fine. Okay, we've got to move this thing, our y value, we've got to move it down 2. Since it's inside with the parentheses with a y, the plus 2 would move it down 2. We've got to move it to the right 3. And since it's not inside parentheses, we can go ahead and put the plus 3, which will do exactly what we want it to do. Now, if I were to move that plus 3 over here with my x, notice it would be an x minus 3, and we could put that inside parentheses. That's the reason why now it would move it opposite. Over here with the x, this would move it right 3, which is what we want it to do. So therefore, let's erase that, and let's take that minus 3 and move it over here to the end, which is what our standard form looks like. P is the distance from the vertex to the focus, which will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units away. So therefore, this would be 1 over 4 times 5, which will be 1 over 20. So there's the standard form of that parabola. Now, I did miss one part of this. Since your p-value here, since the focus is to the left, since this is opening up to the left, then this is going to be something you'll have to be on the lookout for. Your p-value is actually to the left, so therefore you can think of it as being like a -5, or just remember that anytime that your parabola opens down or your parabola opens to the left, then that has to be a negative value to get it to flip-flop that way. Number 3, let me zoom in a little bit. We have another horizontal parabola, so we have x equals stuff. Anytime your y is being squared, it's going to be horizontal. Anytime the x is being squared, it's going to be vertical. So I'm going to go ahead and write 1 over 4p, and we can go ahead and take care of that first. P is the distance from your vertex to your focus or directrix. Here you're given the directrix instead of the focus, so therefore it has a distance of 1. So that's going to be 1 over 4 times 1. Y minus k squared. So let's see how we move this. Here is 0, 0. We moved it left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and up 1. So -6, 1 is our new vertex here. So therefore, to move it to -6, 1 on my y value, I've got to do a -1 inside parentheses. That'll move it up 1. And my x value over here, I'm going to do exactly what it says. It'll be a -6, would move it left 6. And since it's opening to the right, this p-value, 1 over 4 p-value does need to be positive instead of negative. Now the next one, notice it's open down. So therefore, first off, this will be a y equals parabola. Since it's open down, this 1 over 4 p-value needs to be a negative, or my a value in this case, if you remember the standard form, the y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, or y equals a times x minus h squared, that a value is negative when it opens down. So let's just make sure we're negative here. So therefore, here's our vertex, and let's find our p-value first. That'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's going to be a negative 1 over 4p. 4 times 10 will be 40. X, our vertex is located at 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 4, negative 5. So therefore, in order to move it left 4, I'm going to do a plus 4 inside parentheses with my x, and then this minus 5 moves it down just like it says it will. There's your parabola. Number 5, what if we're given a vertex and a focus? Reminder that the p-value is the distance from the vertex to the focus. So here it's very easy to identify that my p-value will be 4. If the vertex is 0, 0, and the focus is at 0, 4. That means my parabola cups up, so therefore my 1 over 4 p-value will be positive. It also means that I have a y equals parabola since it's up and down. So we have 1 over 4 times p, which would be 16. This has not been translated any, so therefore I don't need x plus or minus anything. That's it. It'll be x minus 0 and a plus 0 at the end, so it doesn't change it. Here, my p-value, the distance from the vertex to the focus, so my p-value here is 5/2. Let's see if it opens up or down. If my vertex is at 0, 0, and that's it's a left-right parabola because it's 5/2 0, so that'd be over here to the right. So my parabola would open up to the right. So it would be a positive 1 over 4 p-value. However, it would be an x equals. So therefore, we have x equals 1 over 4 times p. 4 times 5/2 would be 20 over 2, which would be 10. So therefore, there's my 4 times p would be 10. Since it opens to the right, my 1 over 4p again would be positive. Now we have our y stuff. And normally it'd be y stuff in parentheses squared. However, since this has not been translated any, we can just put 1/10 y squared. Number 7. This one has been translated, I have a feeling. So first off, the distance from our vertex to our focus. We can just simply subtract these values and we get a p-value of 1/4. Let's see what this parabola looks like. If the vertex is at negative 7, 1, and the focus is at negative 7, 3/4, which is below it, this will open down. It always opens around that focus. Since it opens down, therefore our 1 over 4 p-value should be negative. Also, since it opens down, this will be a y equals parabola. So you have y equals a negative 1 over 4 times p. 4 times 1/4 is going to be 1. So this value here is 1. And then we have our x stuff squared. We've got to translate this parabola left 7. Here's my vertex, left 7. So we're going to do plus 7 inside here. We got to move it up 1, so you do a plus 1 at the end. There's your parabola. And you don't have to put that 1. I just put it there just to remind you that that is a negative 1 value. Next one, this does have a translated vertex again. The p-value, again, is the distance from the vertex to the focus. That would be a distance of 5 here. Since the focus is at 2, -6, the vertex is at 2, -6, the focus is at -3, -6. That's to the left of my vertex, so this thing's going to open up to the left. Again, if the focus is above, that means your parabola opens up. If your focus is below the vertex, it means it opens down. If your focus is to the right of your vertex, it means it opens to the right. If it's to the left of the vertex, it means it opens to the left. So in this case, again, you can plot these if you want to, but 2, -6, go right 2, go down 6. -3, -6, go left 3 and go down 6. That means your focus is to the left of that vertex. So it's going to open up to the left. So that means that first off, we're going to have an x equals parabola. And second off, that means 1 over 4p should be a negative value. So 1 over 4 times 5 is 20, and it should be negative to make it open to the left. Next up, we have a y stuff squared. Let's translate this. We've got to move it down 6. So we're going to do a plus 6 in parentheses with my y. We're going to move it up 2, so just do the plus 2 like it says, and there is your parabola. Okay, number 9. What if you're given a vertex and a directrix? Pretty much the same thing as before. Just means the focus is going to be on the other side of your vertex. So if they give you a vertex at 0, 0, a directrix at y equals 8, that would be up here above it. That means your focus is going to be down here at 8 units below it, which would be at 0, -8. So therefore, this parabola is going to open downwards. So therefore, 1 over 4p, we got to make sure is negative. The distance from our vertex to our directrix, which we can look at our y value here, 0 to 8, that's going to be our p value of 8. Since it opens down, that's going to be a y equals parabola. 1 over 4p does need to be negative to make it open down. That's going to be 1 over 4 times p is 32. We have x stuff, and since we have not translated this, we don't need any parentheses. We can just put x squared, and there's not going to be any addition or subtraction. That's it. Number 10 is going to be the exact same way. Now notice that we have a directrix that x equals -2. If you don't remember, x equals a number is going to be a vertical line. So we have a vertex at 0, 0, a directrix is over here at x equals -2, which is over here. So that means our focus is going to be over here, and we're going to open around that focus. Our p value is the distance from this point, and we can look at our x value now from 0 to -2. That's going to be a p value of 2. Since we're opening to the right, that's going to be an x equals parabola. And that also means that our 1 over 4p value will be a positive value. So that'll be 1 over 4 times p will be 8. We don't need any parentheses around my y stuff because it has not been translated. So therefore, you're finished. Number 11. The distance from our vertex to our directrix. Again, this is a little tricky because since we're given an x equals 3/2, we're going to have to find the distance from here to here, from 7 to 3/2 to find that p value. So our p value is going to be the distance from 7, which would be 7 over 1 to 3/2. So we could subtract the 2. This would be 14 over 2 minus 3 over 2, which will be 11 over 2 is our p value. Let's determine if we're going to open to the, let's see, that's an x equals, so that's going to be a vertical directrix, so therefore we're opening right or left, so this would be an x equals parabola. Again, since we're opening one of these two, but the question is, which way do we open? Do we open right or left? And the way that you do that is kind of think about, is my directrix to the right or left of that vertex? Is my focus, therefore, going to be right or left of that vertex? Go right 7, go up 4, that's somewhere up here. X equals 3/2 is over here, so therefore, obviously, if this is my vertex, my focus will be over here, so we're opening to the right in this case. So therefore, since we're opening to the right, we're going to have a positive 1 over 4p value, so it'll be 1 over 4 times this, which would be 22, and it does need to be positive to open to the right. Now we are translating this one, so we need the y stuff in parentheses. We're going to translate it up 4 by putting a -4 on our y. We're going to move it right 7 by adding a 7 on the outside, and there is your parabola. Number 12. The directrix here, y equals -8, is a horizontal directrix. We have -1, -1 is our vertex. So that means our focus is going to be up here the same distance away, so that means we're opening up. So we're going to have a y equals parabola since we're opening up, and also our 1 over 4p value should be a positive value. So let me erase this and just leave that as a reminder that this is a vertical parabola. The distance from our y value here to the y value here is going to be our p, and that would be 7, the distance from -1 to -8. So 1 over 4p will be 1 over 4 times 7. X stuff squared. Now let's translate it. To translate it left 1, we're going to add 1 to our x. To translate it down 1, we're going to subtract 1 at the end, and there is your parabola. Number 13. What if we're given a focus and a directrix? The parabola is symmetrical about that focus, or excuse me, the vertex is right in the middle of that focus and directrix. So what we've got to do is we know that anytime we've got a focus, that if it's a vertical parabola, that the x values will be the same. If it's a horizontal parabola, then the y values will be the same for the focus and directrix. So here, let's kind of sketch this out. We have a focus at 3, 0, which would be over here. We have a directrix at x equals -3. So our vertex will be directly in between the two. The y value of our vertex is going to be the same as the y value of our focus. The x value will be the middle of these two values. To find the middle, you can add them, divide by 2, just like we did on the midpoint, and you get 0. So therefore, our vertex is 0, 0, and now you work it the same as the other ones. Vertex is 0, 0, focus is 3, 0, so we're going to open to the right. So therefore, it would be an x equals parabola. So x equals. Our 1 over 4p is going to be positive since it opens to the right, so that'd be 1 over our p value. Is the distance from here to here, which would be a 3. So 1 over 4p would be 1 over 4 times 3, which is 12. Now let's finish it out. And this one has been translated none, so we really don't need any other information. So that's 1/12 y squared, and you're finished. Number 14. Let's sketch it out. We have a focus at 7, -2, and a directrix at y equals -4, which would be a horizontal line. So our vertex is going to be directly in between. It's going to have the same x value as this. So we have a vertex at 7, comma. The middle of -2 and -4 is -3. The vertex will always be directly squeezed between the focus and directrix. We will always bend around the focus, so therefore this will be a y equals parabola because it cups up, and our 1 over 4p will be positive because it cups up. Our p value is the distance from our vertex to either our focus or our directrix. That'd be a value of 1. So therefore that'd be 1 over 4 times 1, which would be 1 over 4. Then we do have to translate this one. We've got to move it right 7, so we're going to put a -7 inside parentheses with our x. Then we got to move it down 3, so stick a -3 at the end, and that is it. Number 15. We have a focus and a directrix. Our focus is at -8, 5. Our directrix is x equals 4, so that'd be way over here. Focus -8, 5, that's it. Our vertex is going to be directly in between them, so the y value is going to be the same there. So therefore, our vertex is going to be, again, the y value will be the same as the focus. Our x value will be directly in between this x value and this x value. To find it, you add them and divide by 2. -8 and 4 is -4 divided by 2 gives you a -2, and there's your vertex. Next up, let's see, our parabola is going to cup around the focus, so therefore it opens to the left. So that means we're going to have a -1 over 4p value since it opens to the left, and it also means that we're going to have an x equals parabola if it opens up to the right or left. Our p value is the distance from our vertex to our focus, which would be 6, or from our vertex to our directrix, which is also 6. So like I said, we're going to have a -1 over 4p value, so that's 4 times p would be a 24, so that's -1 over 24. Now let's translate it to here. So we have y stuff squared inside parentheses. We've got to move it up 5, so we're going to put a minus 5 on our y. Then we got to move it left 2, so just put the minus 2 just like it says. And there's your parabola. Number 16. This one looks a little bit tough. We have a focus at -4, -3 halves, which is somewhere down in here. We have a directrix at y equals -1 half, which is somewhere right in here. So therefore we have, if this is our focus, our vertex will be right in the middle, so we're going to bend down around it. So there is our parabola. So it will be a y equals parabola. Let's see, our vertex will have the exact same x value as the focus, so -4 stays the same. To find out our y value on our vertex, we're going to have to find the middle number between these two numbers. The way we find that is we add them. When you add them, it gives you -4 halves, which is -2, which that makes it a little bit easier. Now when you divide that by 2, it gives you -1. So your vertex is located at -4, -1. Let's find our p-value next. Our p-value is the distance from this y value to this y value, or from this y value to this y value, either way, and that would be a distance of a half. It's a whole lot easier to look at these two y values. So the p-value is 1/2, so since it comes down, we can go ahead and put our negative on our 1/4p. 4 times p, 4 times 1/2 is equal to 2. Now let's go ahead and translate it. We have our x stuff squared. We need to move it to the left. This is our vertex, left 4, so we're going to put a +4 on our x value. We need to move it down 1, so we're going to stick that -1 at the end, and there is your parabola.